Otakuology Podcast with Otaku Mike and Jin Graves.
Hey everyone, Jin back with another episode of the Otakuology Podcast, best podcast in the world. With me, as always, my very good buddy Otaku Mike.
Some might say the best podcast on the interwebs.
I think it's just the best in the world. Okay.
All right, okay, we'll go with that.
So I had a subject fall into my lap earlier of pricing with manga and how it's overpriced and distributors and stuff. In this case, half-price books, and how they're overcharging and things such as that. So
Now, when you mean overcharging, you're saying for used manga, correct?
used manga, correct?
Okay.
Because nobody has looked to see if all books are overpriced or comics or anything else, just manga. So
And this is because of the video that Prom G released, correct?
yes,
Which we'll put a link down to his video just
Yeah,
so
check it
everybody
out.
can go check that out. Prom G
Check
is
it
a
out.
manga tuber.
check it out. You can support anybody.
That's true.
But in this case, there are just plenty of things with it. Some things that I've read up on this or heard about it or whatever is a lot of people are saying that Half Price Books is actually getting their pricing from like eBay and Mercari, and it's all kind of done through like scalpers, and then basically taking stuff and then raising the price on it.
Or basically having that price, but giving you, the seller, pennies or a couple bucks for each book.
Correct.
That's
With half
what
price.
these people are saying.
Right.
But wouldn't you say this for any resale store? It's kind of
Oh
like
yeah.
that.
Oh yeah. I mean for sure. One of the other ones that isn't really around anymore, we lost both of ours, and we've actually talked about it before. Makes me think the exact same thing. So I don't know why just one is kind of getting picked out on this, but Hastings was kind of that way.
Oh yeah, no, most definitely. I remember going to Hastings all the time, reselling stuff, buying stuff, cheap, reselling it, whatever,
Right.
It did the same thing. And I'm gonna be honest, like towards the end of Hastings' life, on this planet, because Hastings is no longer with us.
When they
I
were on
was
life support.
when they were on life support. Thank you. Honestly, like it became harder and harder and harder to find those deals that I personally wanted. Now that wasn't for manga; it was for anime that I would go there for.
Right.
I would go and ravage and rummage through, not really ravage, pillage, I guess you could say, their used anime section.
Rawr. I'm an
Rawr.
ogre. I'm an
Arr.
ogre. I've come to pillage your village. Stupid. But yeah, I mean, we've had other companies. We do have other companies that do things like this. Does Second and Charlie's do that?
Secondhand
Isn't that what it's
Charles.
called?
I've
Yeah.
never been to a secondhand Charles, but
Okay.
I believe a secondhand Charles is basically the equivalent to like a half price books.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, see, and here's one of the other things that I've seen some people do, which is kind of weird. And I've only ever seen like 2 posts about this anywhere. And one of them, I think, was actually one of my friends that did it. But Goodwill has
Yeah.
manga and such or whatever.
I
But
will have to say, I have never had luck at a Goodwill
that's
whatsoever.
true. I've only had one friend that is an action figure collector have good luck at Goodwill.
I remember one time I found a PlayStation 2, but it was in like their locked box, and it
Yeah.
was people were bidding on it and trying to win it. It
Oh
was
my gosh.
sometimes Goodwills will do that sometimes.
Yeah.
Uh, and but I've never found like anime or manga at a Goodwill because all my
Yeah.
Goodwills here are like not
Sketchy.
good. They're not good.
Yeah.
You know.
No, I mean sometimes at some of ours you can find something that's just weird and you're like, "What? Did I find this here? Really?"
Mhm.
That makes
But
no
but like
sense.
but like we do have like a secondhand vintage toy store here in our town.
Yeah.
That does buy things, and I have sold things. I sold my Marvel Legends stuff to them, and I didn't get full market value on those because,
Yeah.
well, one, they were out of the boxes,
But
and
did you get a good price off of them though?
I would say yeah. I mean, at the time, I did. I think I did. Uh,
So let's go into that real quick.
okay.
So one Marvel Legend action figure is approximately what when it first comes out and you're buying it?
Well, Marvel Legends has risen in price over its lifespan. It used to be maybe like $15, maybe $10, $15 when it started, I think. I can't
Yeah.
remember exactly what the price was. And now it's about like $25 to $30.
Okay.
I think a figure. I'm not 100% sure
Well,
exactly.
when I went through it, it was $20 and then a 2-pack was like 30.
Is it? Okay.
So,
I
well,
haven't
and
bought
that's why I had to ask because I know that you look at some of that stuff more than I do, but when I collected, they were $20 a pop.
yeah, so at the moment about 24, $26.
Yeah.
It looks like on like at Walmart, it looks like.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you took your action figures, let's just say you took pick out one of them and you took it and it was we'll say an average of $20. How much did you get back for that?
Well, I
Or
don't
let me rephrase that. How much did you get back that you felt was a good number for that?
I got about like $300 for all my Marvel Legends figures.
Okay. So they
Yeah,
were like assorted in different prices. Would you say like you got like $10 back average per?
I'm not really for sure how much exactly I got back because he went and looked them up. Like he would
Okay.
look at them. One, he would look at the condition that they were in, whether or not they had their accessories or not.
Right.
Um, because I did have a couple of build a figures in there. Um, like I had like Onslaught.
Yeah.
I had half build a figures, so some that were built and some weren't.
Right.
Like I had like a full Sentinel. I had like half a Sentinel where it was missing like an arm. And
Right.
I had I don't know if you remember it. Do you remember the first Apocalypse build a figure? Like it was pretty big.
Yeah, yeah, the really old one.
It was like the first Age of Apocalypse, I think line or
Okay. So
it was like
it was pre 2014 where they changed the boxing.
yes, it was pre 2014. They were still in those weird all plastic boxes, those plastic
Okay.
casings, and they
Okay.
still had they still came with comic books at the time.
Oh
Like
yeah. Yeah.
that's how it was. So like I remember he would ask a couple questions about some of them, and I'd be like, oh, um, like this goes to this goes to this person, And he showed up to Apocalypse. He was like, hey, uh, do you have the like claw for Apocalypse? It was like a claw
Yeah.
piece that came with Apocalypse, and I was like, no. He's like, okay, well, if you would have had that claw, it would have boosted up the value of Apocalypse.
Okay.
Yeah, which I don't even remember there being like a claw thing in it,
Yeah.
like because I would pose and display my figures. I didn't keep them
Right.
in the boxes, but and I was like, yeah, and I was like, he rang them up, he took time and looked at them, and while he was still going through it, I came back the next day to look around the store, and he was still sorting through them, and whatnot. I mean, I felt like it was a fair deal.
Okay.
$300 for a couple of the series that of Marvel Legends figures. I had
Right.
some of the Galactus Build-A-Figures, some of the Giant Man Build-A-Figures series. I had the whole line of Apocalypse figures,
Yeah.
all of Onslaught. There were like
So
4 or 5 series in there.
so let me ask you this.
Uh-huh.
Let's say, you know, a manga that you would have gotten from like Ghost Ship or
Mm-hmm.
Seven Seas or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
yen press, that would have been about $15. What would you feel is the trade-in value for that is still in print?
That's still in print?
That's still in print.
Like how much I would get back for it?
Yes. How much do you realistically think that you should get back for
Like $4 or $5.
that? I was thinking 10, but you know, I'll give you 2/3, but okay. Um, but see,
Well,
look, so that varies right there. That's one thing. Another thing that I want to point out.
uh-huh.
But here's the thing: is,
Well, the
and I
thing is,
think
like,
it's very
like,
funny,
the thing. Well, I'm gonna say this. I say $4 to $5. The thing
right?
is, I don't go online and price the value of my manga.
Right,
Now, I do know the only ones I do know that are worth something in my collection that are 7Cs. There's a couple of Mishoku Tensei that have gone up recently. Uh, Worlds in Harem has gone up, bumped up a couple of them. There's some that are really hard to find, and like
right,
My Not
right,
Lives manga. Other than that, like I don't know what's valuable in the 7Cs line
right.
um, at all. So I just don't really truly keep up with that,
Yeah.
to be honest. You know?
Well, I use that instead of Shonen Jump because I know you don't
Okay.
collect a lot of Shonen Jump.
Now I will say,
So
like, I do know, like, with 7Cs, like 7Cs is more expensive. It's $12.99 a volume, usually with tax. That's like $14-15 maybe, give or
right,
take.
that's why
I
that's
can't
why
remember
I average in
exactly.
at 15.
I can't remember exactly what the value is
Yeah,
of the manga. Sometimes they're more. If they're the Ghost Ship, they usually are $13.99.
right,
Sometimes. Oh, excuse me.
right.
But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know because I don't know if I value my manga the same way other people value their manga.
right.
I don't know.
But I mean, we can't agree though that you would like to pay less than regular cost, and if you were going to sell it, that you would get more. Correct?
So are we talking about like buying more used
Just in general.
or
Yeah, you
in
would
general?
if you could buy any of that, the listed price that's on it, you would prefer to get it cheaper. And
I
if
don't
you were going to turn around and sell it used, you would want to try and sell it for more.
I don't care.
Okay.
I really don't care. I
As
mean,
long
like if
as it gets to the hands of a manga.
I mean, if I go and buy something and I don't like it, I'm not going to sit there and hold on to it. I'm going to
Right.
put it in the sell pile. As a matter of fact, I recently sold off a chunk of 7C's stuff. If you want to,
Yeah.
and I made about like 80-90 bucks off of it.
Yeah.
For roughly like 20 volumes of manga.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah,
that's, you said for 20.
yeah. Hey, can we
Okay.
pause? I gotta let my
Yeah.
dog out. Mm.
Hey everyone. So we're back. Sorry about that. Sometimes duty calls.
Duty in the booty.
Definitely.
Yeah,
But
yeah. So you're talking about manga pricing or what we thought
yeah,
manga
yeah. We were
pricing?
talking about, yeah, based off of 7 season yen press pricing.
Uh,
Um,
Go ahead.
so, well, I mean, just really thinking about it, what the value of used manga can be or what it is. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, like you said, it varies,
Mm-hmm. It can
because
vary dramatically or drastically.
everybody thinks it's worth something different. Uh, you know,
Yeah.
uh, Another friend that we have
I mean, I
mutually
I talked to
think
somebody today. I talked to
thinks
somebody
that
today who said we should get close to cover price for each manga.
yeah.
You know?
See, and that's what I feel like too. But we also have a mutual friend that believes that if you buy it, like let's
Uh
say
huh.
we got it from Right Stuff or whatever,
Uh huh.
um, a new manga volume that is worth approximately $10,
Mm-hmm.
or somewhere close to that, that instantly, even if you never touched it, it was wrapped in plastic or whatever, instantly it should be worth $5. Just like when you drive a car off the lot, how it drops in value.
Actually, I was gonna say that as well. Use that analogy.
Yeah.
I was gonna use the car analogy. I was gonna say that.
Great
I
minds
mean,
think
I mean,
alike.
this true. Like it's not. You're not wrong about that. You're
Right.
definitely not wrong about that. I would humbly agree with that. Each volume of manga is $5.
Right.
$5. I mean, that's fair. That's fair.
Right.
But I mean, like, you got to look at each volume of manga. Price all of them
Right.
when it comes down to it. But like in reality, like a lot of these places, if they're not like a specialty place, like if they're not like I mean, half price books is kind of specialty, but like I would say more like book off maybe because they deal with more of that kind of stuff. Like half price books deals with like a lot of different stuff.
Right.
But like usually the people don't know what they're looking at half the time when they're turning stuff in or when people are receiving stuff to put into the system. And I mean they don't necessarily know. They might be fans of reading, but they don't might not know the value
Right.
of the manga. That's why they look
Well,
them up and they
well,
search them.
and here's another thing, because I had to talk to somebody today actually about houses.
Uh-huh.
And right now we were talking about how it's a seller's market.
Mm-hmm.
If anybody knows these terms, you have buyer's market, seller's market. Whenever COVID started, we're in a buyer's market. That's when the price is low. It's
Yeah.
usually lower. You're able to find it easier. You're able to afford it. You're able to buy things like that.
Mm-hmm.
In a seller's market, it's where it's more beneficial for the seller.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is now
Yeah.
since we've had COVID and COVID is coming to its end and everything, we are still going through the fluctuation of everything being higher because of all of that.
Yeah, that's true.
And we're not going to be able to see that till everything gets adjusted and it can start going back down again.
Well, I also like to think of it like this as well. Like we've said this before, but like with COVID, with all of us being trapped in our houses, we've had a lot more free time if we haven't been working uh to get new hobbies. And
Right?
what was one of the two hobbies that took that it had a boom period? Anime and manga.
Right?
People wanted anime and manga. And manga to be printed was harder to get for some
Exactly.
titles because those titles became popular, and we ran into the scalping situation.
Right?
Now, scalping sucks. Let's just say that scalping
Right?
sucks.
Right?
But we also have to look at it like this. And the fact is, like, we have half price books and other bookstores, that resells manga or books. You look at it like this: they want to process you and get you through, get you happy with an amount that you might take. You could take. You don't
Right?
have to take the offer that they give. You can take your box, take it home, do whatever, put it up on eBay, and possibly have fees taken out of what you sell. And then if you don't sell it, you can also accumulate monthly fees for having your thing listed on eBay.
This is
which
true.
which I've done that before. I mean, there's a way to get around that if you have like an actual store on eBay. There's like a sort of a way to get around that. But
Yeah.
I've had things where it cost me like $5 an item, and
Yeah.
at the end of the month I owe like $25. You know?
Well, and then one of the things that I want to point out, because I kind of threw this out to you, and you were like, "Well, what do you mean?" Earlier, whenever this idea kind of fell into our laps, um, about us kind of doing this to ourselves,
Yeah.
The
Yeah,
thing
please
is,
elaborate on that because I want to know what you were talking about.
so the thing is with all of this stuff,
Mhm.
we have inflated the market ourselves.
Yeah, I would say so.
It's just like the stock market.
Mhm.
Well, the thing is, when Mike buys it, it goes up a point. Well, now that Mike's bought it, I know about it, then I want to buy it. Goes up more.
I mean, let's.
Now everybody, you say you make a video on it, I
Uh-huh.
make a video on it. We recommend it to 2, 3 other friends. They do it. It goes up in even more. And
Mhm.
now there's that. Let's say we all make a MangaTube video on it.
Mhm.
Gets put out. Now people see, oh my gosh, there's 5 of these people that I watch that have this manga. It must be good. Let me pick it up.
Yeah, totally.
So here we go. Now the price of it is even more inflated. And then when you look at it, just like your fan that had that same idea, a scalper is going to have the same idea.
Yeah. I mean,
They're
no,
going to
most
go,
most
there's going to
definitely.
be somebody else out there that wants that. And then they're going to sit around and say, hey, that $15 manga that all those people bought, and people commenting and saying, hey, I want that. They're
Mhm.
going to say, hey, I bet I can sell it for 25.
Yeah.
Hey, I bet I can sell this for more than that.
Mhm.
And then it turns into just the scalpers outbidding each other, or
Yeah.
out posting money, on each other.
And then you have to decide whether or not you really truly want to spend the $30 on whatever volume of manga or like 400, 300,
Exactly.
for either out of print or out of stock manga, because I mean, like, not necessarily like when somebody's like going through your stuff that you're wanting to sell. I wanted to make this point. They're not going to necessarily know what it is, but they will look it up and scan the barcode, on the back, look it up, and determine what they can sell it for, which is half price of whatever it's going for. I'm guessing, uh, or whatever, and they'll be like, okay, well, I can give you this much, and then we can still make a profit on said item. You know,
Right.
like I remember I took a box of anime to my local half price books. I think about like 4 or 5 months ago, and
Mm-hmm.
it was around when I bought the Pat Labor Ultimate Collection. Because I'm a fan of Pat Labor, and sorry if you can hear my dog drinking water in the background, uh, but I already had the DVDs of Pat Labor, and I went and sold them to the half price books that I go to, and they were like, "Hey, just to let you know, some of these Pat Labor collections are worth some money." And I'm like, "Oh, okay. I mean, that's fine. That doesn't really
Yeah.
matter to me because I paid $2 a collection on when Right Stuff was doing a sale."
Right.
So I'm like, that's not really anything to me. And I really don't want to sit there and go on eBay or Macari or whatever and try to sell these myself. I just want the money. Like, just give me the
Right.
money. I think this is a fair deal that you're giving to me. And, we'll go about our day and have fun.
Right.
Y'all can Y'all can make some money if you sell them for whatever price you sell them for. I made some money. You know, I don't. I I'm not looking to be like money hungry.
Right.
I want to get rid of this so I don't have it anymore, and I want to make some quick cash. Obviously,
Right.
that's how I look at it.
No, and it makes a ton of sense.
Yeah. I feel like some people honestly truly put a lot of stake and a lot of value into their manga and into what it's worth. And the manga collecting community does pump up the value of certain manga titles whenever it goes out of print or not out of print or out of stock. I can see definitely the amount of said manga going up because I've
Right.
seen things on eBay where it's like, oh, rare out of print manga, this much. But if it's so rare, why am I seeing 5 different listings of manga for this said manga? Or what fucking gets me, which I think is fucking asinine,
Yeah.
is first print run of said manga.
Oh my gosh.
You know,
Right. Right. Well, and then that's my thing is who actually looks at any of that.
I only started looking at that when Weeb Daddy from friend of the channel Weeb Daddy over at Meet the Weeb Family, shameless plug, he told me about it. It's always at the end in the very back.
Yeah.
And I was like, I would have never noticed. Now I did know that One Piece used to do this with some of their first printings where they would have like a gold foil
Yeah.
on the manga
Yeah.
for some of their first printings and for first runs or whatever for One Piece. And I'd be okay. That's pretty cool. That's a little different, Or you have like the alternate manga covers. That's cool. But like in reality, how do we determine? Which we kind of talked about this before with our speculation boom video type of thing.
Right.
I do think the scalpers are at fault in this situation. I also
Hey,
think,
so I just opened up one of the books that you and I are covering for Pokemon Adventures,
uh huh.
and at the bottom of mine it says first printing August 2009, ninth printing December 2013.
Oh wow! So do you have the ninth printing?
I guess so.
I guess so. Yeah. Huh. That's interesting. That's really interesting.
Right.
But like, which we've kind of covered this before, so we're kind of saying the same things before. What constitutes a rare manga? What constitutes that price going up? The price going up, or what it's worth, is what people are willing to pay for it.
Right.
Once you have that sold listing, bam, that's automatically worth $200 right there because it's sold
Right.
for $200.
Right.
You know,
Yeah. Oh, for sure. And I mean, I think that's another stupid thing with that because whenever somebody is chomping at the bit
mm-hmm.
and can't wait, it just like when people read scans, they can't wait for it.
Yeah.
Whenever it hits that and it comes out and somebody goes, "Oh, well, I have to have that physical one. I have to buy this." And you pay $80 for one volume, you have now set the standard of how much that one should actually be
I
owned.
mean, I'll give you this example at my local half price books. So it's funny that I'm talking about this because I mentioned it in our chat with Bizarre Individual our friend Bizarre Individual,
Yeah.
uh, the Sentai Filmworks sell that they have every couple months. They'll have a clearance sale kind of thing where they'll discount things to like $3 a collection sometimes, or get like $5 series Blu-rays or stuff like that. Stuff that's like they'll discount all their stuff. They'll discount a portion of their catalog. Have you seen? You've been there. You seen it?
Yeah.
Oh, excuse me.
Kind of.
Well, somebody at my that goes to my store frequents my half price books. there's always Sentai Filmworks titles at my store, and there are a lot of them.
Yeah.
Brand new copies. And I'm like, all this stuff was in the recent Sentai Filmworks sale. So there's got to be a fucking flipper around my town who's buying Sentai Filmworks shit and then selling it off the half price books.
Right.
Like, I mean, come on, I even see that on fucking eBay. People do that.
Right.
They'll buy things from Right Stuff at low cost and mark up the price after the sale has ended, the Christmas sale has ended, or since Filmworks sale has ended. They'll bump up the price because they're like, oh, people were looking for this.
Right.
It baffles my mind that one. I can understand about people complaining about scalping and reselling and stuff like that. But one thing that really baffles my mind is we're in a hobby. It's called manga collecting.
Yeah.
And everybody seems to want to get that good deal. Everybody wants to get that good deal where they get something for like dirt fucking cheap.
Right.
Like like a whole series for dirt cheap, 100 volumes of manga for like $20 or whatever. I don't know.
Right.
And
and here's another thing branching off of that too. So back in the day, which ain't really that long ago, went before mailing and everything went up in price. Right Stuff was able to send you your stuff for $50 orders, and now they're up to 70.
I think it went up to 80.
Okay, so it went up to 80 now.
Yeah,
but I mean that's the thing too, and a lot of people go, "Oh, we're so angry about this." But
they're still giving you the same amount. They're still giving you the same prices for everything. Still, they never went up on their prices, just the shipping costs.
Exactly. So here's the thing with that though, is anybody that got mad about the shipping price obviously has a problem with Right Stuff making enough.
Or changes, I guess.
Because
people are mad right now because Right Stuff has been slow to ship orders.
Right.
And they've posted on their website, orders may take more time than usual.
But let's look at this in a different way.
Okay.
Every year, most of the time, you get a cost of living raise, right? For most jobs.
Most jobs, yes.
You have something, you have a raise, you have something happen that you get a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, at least where I live at, I'm pretty sure it's everywhere though, meat's higher, right? Gas prices are going up. Wood still is, fucking off the Richter scale on that as well. Yet, because we're not in those things, we're not on part of those other things, we don't hear as much bitching about it.
Oh, yeah, that's true. That's true. I mean, I gotta be honest, like...
The thing is when everything rises, it happens. If somebody had a small business that was in MangaTube or whatever, they would want to make more as it went up or whatever. Because if not, then you're going to be under.
Yeah.
You're not going to meet that black line. You're going to be in the red, and you're going to go under. Point blank.
You obviously want to make a profit,
right?
And these resale stores.
So here's the thing:
these resale stores want to make a profit too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, though, with things like Right Stuff or whatever, is they're giving you basically the same amount for everything else. And they have to adjust their prices because of the cost of material, cost of printing, everything else. When you go to the secondhand market, it's a little different.
Yeah.
You now have these companies that want to make their money off of that.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to try and make as much money as they can off of that.
Mm-hmm.
And just like we just said on manga tubers, Insta mangas, whatever, wherever it is, manga tube on TikTok or whatever, that drives the cost of everything.
Yeah.
It pushes it up, it raises it. And that's why all that stuff is more on a secondhand
Uh-huh.
market.
There was a podcast I was listening to, and on the podcast they joke about like their favorite game. I think I might have mentioned this on the last podcast that we did, the value of manga or whatever. But their favorite game was like Danny Sullivan's Indie Heat.
Yeah.
And some guy who listened to the podcast like did like a social experiment where he bought as many copies as he could of Danny Sullivan's Indie Heat and took
Yeah.
it off the market.
Yeah.
And it rose the price up maybe about like 20-30 bucks. So he
Okay.
himself affected the market
Right.
just by buying Danny Sullivan's Indie Heat, a game probably nobody really knows about.
Hey, and it turns out it's exactly like the stock market, just doing that.
Yeah. But like one thing that like really like irks me, like so like I was saying before, like we're in a collector's hobby.
Right.
There are people out there that are fucking penny pinchers. There are people that just buy whatever, you know?
Right.
What irks me is when people complain about the price of regular like retail manga.
Right.
And I'm like, you're in the wrong hobby, or just go buy used, you know.
Oh
Go to
yeah.
the used bookstore, go buy used if you can, you know. But apparently, for some of those, they're getting priced out of the used manga market. I guess you could say. Like I remember seeing somebody a TikTok today, and they're like too expensive, and I'm not getting enough manga for the value I'm paying for. And I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, well, that's what it was set at, you know.
Well,
You you know you paid
and
for it.
and I want to throw Gunpla in here real quick
Okay.
for a second. So and I think we brought it up on the podcast, but it might not be very well known.
Uh huh.
Um, there was a Gundam that I actually got
Uh huh.
in that I had pre-ordered at the time when I got it, because I think it's been maybe 3 or 4 months now, that I had pre-ordered it 2 years before, 2 years
Mm-hmm.
prior, or not pre-ordered, but I put in to have it ordered, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was, basically like a whole year went by, didn't know about it, forgot about this. When it came in, I paid about $70 for it, for a Psycho Gundam model,
You paid
right?
$70 for a high grade model.
Right,
That was an older model.
right. It was worth it to me because that's how other ones that were about that size went for.
Mm-hmm.
The Penelope Gundam, some of the other ones are about that range.
Mm-hmm.
So, it was worth it to me. Now, at the time when I first had this thing pre-ordered, it was going for $300
Yeah.
because it was old, because they weren't
Mm-hmm.
reprinting very many of them, things like that. The problem that, like we already talked about, that I think arises is, do you have patience
Yeah.
to get this stuff, and are you willing to pay the lower price to have that patience?
That's true. That's true.
And how bad do you want something? I think everybody should have a glass ceiling of what you're willing to pay. A
Yeah,
a a
that is
new
definitely true.
a new volume of manga,
I have a
you know,
glass ceiling. I have a glass ceiling
a,
that I'm willing to pay.
a new volume of manga that maybe had just freshly gone out of print or whatever,
Uh-huh.
maybe hasn't risen very much. I may pay $30
I would not pay
for
$30 for that.
it. Well, it depends on how bad I want it. there's very many different circumstances for everything. Maybe it's
I
the
I
very last volume I need.
I really wanted Inuyasha Omnibus Volume 2. And because I wanted to continue my Inuyasha journey. It was
Yeah,
going for like $45 on the aftermarket,
yeah,
sometimes 50. I waited a couple weeks, bam, got it for retail. Actually, got it for a little below retail, actually, on Amazon.
yeah,
You know, it is what it is, Uh, but like, I also find it kind of hypocritical a little bit that like
yeah.
people want to sell their manga off for such a high price, but then bitch about not getting good deals anymore when they go out to a secondhand store to buy manga.
Right,
Like they kind of want their cake and they want to eat it too.
right,
Like it's a very weird dynamic.
right,
And like I was kind of like I was sitting here reading through the thread and watching the video, and I'm like, these people are really bitching about manga prices. These people are really bitching about how much they're getting for their fucking manga.
right,
I mean, come on, you know? That's ridiculous.
right.
That's fucking ridiculous. I don't know. I honestly I hope like this part of the manga cult collecting culture kind of dies off.
Yeah,
Like I'm all for getting a good deal, but I also hate scalping and I also hate people bitching about, you know, the value of their so-called manga. When in
right.
reality, we don't necessarily know the value of every single manga because to be honest, I mean, it's being made up as we go along.
Right,
It really is. It's being made up by people who are selling manga. We have no real frame of reference to what something is technically worth. Do you devalue an older printing of a manga if you get a new, nice, shiny deluxe edition
well, well,
or
and not only
reprinting of
that,
something?
well, sticking with the reprinting part, it also depends on what it is.
Hmm.
A series as a whole. If
Hmm.
I think about it, one of the series that I really wanted to collect, Ultimate Muscle, I got most of those books for $5. Now the last two of them that I needed, I paid $60 and $70 for them.
That I want to tell you, like in like the anime collecting
Yeah,
world,
yeah,
like there have been a lot of things that have got license rescued and reprinted,
right,
and it had gotten better upgrades for Blu-rays or DVDs.
right,
Like it has it has devalued certain titles, certain older versions of titles out there. And like, okay, I'll give you a reference. Like, there was this one called Legend of Black Heaven that I
yeah,
recently picked up. It got a Blu-ray release, I think maybe like a year ago. I'm not for sure. It might have just came out. I can't remember exactly. I didn't know about the Blu-ray release, but I found the old DVD release. There was like four or five single volumes. I can't remember exactly how many for like $20.
right,
That series was extremely out of print. Nobody really talks about that series except for the hardest of the hardcore anime fans.
right.
I'm pretty sure you have never heard of it.
No.
See, see,
See, yeah,
like I remember like when all these anime studios were closing down and whatnot, a lot
yeah,
of those out of print Gundam DVDs, a lot of the Sunrise Bandai stuff, a lot of the ADV stuff were going up in value because you couldn't get them anymore. They were going for
right,
a lot.
right,
Evangelion full set going for an extremely amount of money. It
right,
got re-released recently and you can buy the entire set for $30.
right,
$30. So that I would say that devalues the previous sets. I would say
Right.
unless
But
if you
here's
I would wait, hold
here's
on,
the thing.
I would like to finish I would like to finish, please. I
Okay.
say that devalues what came before unless unless you are that nostalgia and that hardcore of a collector. You need each individual DVD volume with the case. And what does bring up the value of those old sets? The old chipboard art boxes. It's almost
Yeah.
like having a complete uh, Super Nintendo or Sega Genesis game. You have the case, the manual, everything that raises the value of it.
Right.
You know,
Right.
yeah. It's weird. It's weird.
well, well. So going off of that, what I said before, going off of how you said this stuff. So the one thing that I don't understand is when people want to also get upset, like me spending the $60 and the $70 on these two different volumes of Ultimate Muscle. If it gets reprinting, it will obviously drop the value hardcore. Now, should I be upset about that? No, because the value at the time is what I bought it for,
You know
not these
what?
new releases for it.
I'm just waiting for this manga bubble to burst.
Yeah.
It's gonna be Beanie Babies all over again. I'm just gonna say it right now.
We'll see. I don't think manga altogether will burst. I think it will be individual series that will do it.
Yeah, I would say so. I would say like a lot of the big titles
Yeah.
that people go after, and I'm not saying like a lot of the new titles. I'm saying a lot of the older titles.
Yes.
You know, and that's
Well, and I mean, we even see that with some of the newer titles.
Well, yeah, that's true. That is true. A
Some
lot
of
of
them doing that,
it all depends on reprint or out of stock versus out of print.
right?
And I feel like honestly, more people need to be informed. And there are people out there on TikTok or whatever that are informing people of when things actually come into print. And these are popular titles that are coming into print. They do like a fucking daily thing on it where like this is coming back in print this month, this day, and vice versa. And like I feel like that's where honestly that is driving the prices too, because people are not wanting to wait. People are not wanting to wait for this out of stock manga, and it's constantly driving the price up in certain areas, as well as I would say. I don't know how exactly the out of print stuff it works. Yeah, I think
Right.
that just falls under you find what listing it's sold for, and okay, it's worth that much
Right.
type of scenario.
Right.
But honestly, I feel like we're going to keep spinning our wheels. The only way I
Probably.
can see this coming down is honestly, I say fucking stop complaining, because people complaining is just going to, even though I know we're kind of complaining in this podcast, it's just falling on deaf ear with those fucking
Well,
scalpers.
and I would just say stop supporting those.
Yeah. Yeah.
Stop supporting the scalper.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to read it or something
Mm-hmm.
like that and you see it for a high price, then don't buy it.
I mean,
If
it's that
if
simple.
you feel justified in a $15 manga and
Yeah.
somebody's selling it for 20 and you go, okay, that's within my budget, I will buy that for 20, then do that. But then you
Yeah.
also need to make sure that Joe, Sally, and George over here on the other side are not going to buy it for 25, and the person after them buy it for 30, and the person
Yeah.
after them buy it for 35. I
Yeah.
think I think that more of that should be vocalized too. Hey, I saw this. Uh, it's going for $40. Then nobody
Mm-hmm.
buy it, because when
Yeah.
somebody buys it, That sets precedence over whatever happens, and that means that anything else that comes after it is going to be set at about the same amount.
Yeah.
That is one of the biggest problems, is people not being able to hold on and chomping at the bit because you have to have this so bad.
I mean, there are plenty of other series out there where you can just go read and just wait. I mean, just wait. I mean, sometimes you might have to bite that bullet.
Right. Well, and let me just toss this out here before we end this, because
Okay.
this is the low blow that's going to get a lot of people.
Okay.
Right. Why bitch about buying it and not waiting for it to be a lower price or the same price as market value when you've probably already fucking read it
Oh,
on the internet
true.
illegally?
Yeah,
So why complain about the pricing when you say, "Oh, I'm going to support this," when you've already read the shit anyway?
that's true.
Just wait for it to fall back down, because most likely you have it saved somewhere in a flash drive or something somewhere, and you've already read it. You might have read it twice already. But why
Yeah.
bitch about the price when most likely you've already read it once or twice? Even if you want to support it, why don't you just wait?
Well, I mean, are you really supporting it if you're buying it used? But that's a whole other can of worms.
That is a whole other can of worms. But you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, no, I totally know what you're talking about. Yeah.
So, but
Oh
anyway,
boy.
guys, woo! Thanks for listening. This has been a wild ride, and we will catch you guys next time.
I'm not
See
gonna lie.
you.
I had to stop myself a couple times. I was gonna get heated.
I know. I heard you start losing it at one more. I was like, "Oh shit! When am I gonna have to pump the motherfucking brakes?" But anyway, guys, thanks for listening. As always, see you next Tuesday, and stay tuned for more great episodes from the Otakuology podcast.
Thanks.
Bye.